Emotional response suppresses critical thinking. That single idea explains how attention hijacking can be so powerful in modern PSYOPs and how entire populations can be manipulated when a single narrative dominates their focus. This is the first episode in my 4-part series on spotting PSYOPs through the fate model. I want to emphasize that this video is purely for educational purposes, especially for those starting out in the OSINT and intelligence analysis field. The example I'm about to show is based on publicly available facts and is not intended to blame or single out any particular media outlets. We'll look at how to identify focus-based narratives using OSINT without diving into the political motivations or the why behind them. Welcome back to ArtNet Cyber Intelligence. Here we explore OSINT techniques and analyze cyber warfare events. If you are new here, I'm glad you've joined. So recently I watched a YouTube video by Chase Hughes who was highlighting the concept of engineered reality, what we usually call PSYOPs. Chase is a recognized expert in behavior analysis, interrogation, and influence, known for training intelligence and law enforcement agencies worldwide. I'm a huge fan of his work myself. I even own a few of his books on behavioral psychology, so I highly recommend them. Chase created the fate model, which helps us identify hidden influence campaigns. He even has a downloadable form you can grab from his channel, link below in the description, to score any events you are analyzing. I'm not going to rehash everything he said. Instead, I'll focus on how to use OSINT tools to spot the first pillar in the fate model, which is focus, by examining a real-life case from 2023. The news about alleged Ukrainian drone which strikes on Russian soil. Let's jump right into it. The fate model breaks PSYOPs into 4 pillars: focus, authority, tribe, and emotion. Focus is often the first step because it's about hijacking your attention through constant repetition, 24/7 media coverage, or shocking visuals so that other aspects of the narrative can sink in more easily. In early 2023, social media and news outlets buzzed with reports of Ukrainian drones striking inside Russia, including areas close to Moscow. Stories ranged from minor drone crashes to an alleged failed strike on the Kremlin. All these reports came in a steady stream, saturating the media environment. The core tactic here is focus. By relentlessly pushing these headlines, outlets and social channels ensure that one storyline dominates public attention. To see just how widespread this coverage got, I turned to Google Trends. So we can check out this Google Trends chart focusing on late February into early March 2023. You can see a sharp spike in searches for Ukrainian drone attack and drone strike Russia keywords right after 28th of February, when Russian and international media outlets simultaneously ran stories of a drone crash near Moscow. Interestingly, there is no corresponding trend around 9th of January, even though the same drone photo appeared online on that date. This lack of early coverage indicates that the story, if it existed then, didn't catch public attention. Only when the media collectively focused on it late February did it explode in search interest. That synchronized coverage is a hallmark of focus in PSYOPS. Once the public's attention is locked onto a single narrative, it's easier to shape perceptions or push additional messages. Even more intriguing is how the drone supposedly crashed in the snow with barely any disturbance around it, almost as if it was placed there gently rather than falling from the sky. Whether that's simply how the photo was taken or evidence of a staged event is up for debate, but it certainly feeds the larger question of how this narrative was constructed and why it caught fire on 28th of February rather than in early January. Next, I looked at Telegram channels. They repeatedly posted photos of drone wreckage with dramatic headlines. Meanwhile, various news outlets, some reputable, some less so, echoed these claims without thorough verification. This one-sided repetition is a classic focus strategy. Saturates the media space so that this event is all anyone sees or talks about. From an OSINT perspective, it's crucial to notice when multiple sources publish the same story around the same time, especially with identical visuals. That often indicates a coordinated or at least collectively hyped push, steering everyone's attention in one direction. So here's where the OSINT work really begins. On 28th of February, a wave of Russian media outlets and even some international channels simultaneously ran stories that a Ukrainian drone, often described as UJ-22, had crashed near Moscow, potentially threatening a gas pipeline or other civilian infrastructure. The timing was striking, because multiple sources published nearly identical accounts on the same day, magnifying the sense of a sudden and attention-grabbing event. However, by digging deeper into the images and their origins, I discovered something curious. The exact same drone photo appeared on a Russian website, smaragovori.ru, as early as 9th of January 2023. In that earlier article, the context around the crash was noticeably different. There was no mention of a gas pipeline or a large-scale sabotage. Meanwhile, in the 28th of February stories, some outlets insisted that the drone was aiming for a pipeline, others said it targeted a civil building, and even the Russian Ministry of Defense framed it as part of a broader Ukrainian attack on a civilian infrastructure. Yet, the snow around the crash site looks nearly untouched, which contradicts the idea of a heavy explosive laden drone creating a major impact. To verify whether this photo existed before late February, I ran reverse image searches on multiple platforms. TinEye alone didn't really reveal the older source, but Yandex uncovered the 9th of January article. This highlights a key OSINT lesson. No single tool is foolproof. You have to try multiple search engines to get the full picture. But all of this raises questions. First, why would a photo from early January resurface at the end of February attached to a far more dramatic narrative? Second, how did so many outlets coordinate or coincidentally decide to publish the same image and story almost simultaneously? And third, what does this say about the authenticity of the crash scenario itself, especially given the official statements referenced explosive capabilities, yet the physical evidence appears minimal? These inconsistencies don't necessarily prove the entire event was staged, but they do underscore how focus can be intensified when different outlets run contradictory or recycled narratives. Whether the crash is real, exaggerated, or mispresented, the focus factor, like if drones can reach Moscow, imagine how much attention that commands, remain front and center. That's precisely how PSYOPs leverage partially real events to saturate public attention. So how does this tie back to the fate model? Focus is the first step. Once you capture and saturate people's attention with 24/7 coverage, repetition, or shocking visuals, they are more likely to absorb the rest of the narrative. Whether the message is fear-inducing, sensational, or politically motivated, the key is that it dominates the public's mental bandwidth. Once focus is achieved, the next pillars, authority, tribe, and emotion from the fate model, can be more easily introduced. People who've been laser focused on a single storyline often don't question subsequent claims because they've already invested attention. That's why noticing a sudden media blitz or identical headlines across multiple outlets is crucial. It might be a genuine crisis, or it might be a PSYOPs tactic designed to keep you from looking elsewhere. Alright, that concludes our first episode of the 4-part series of the fate model and OSINT in PSYOPs, highlighting the focus, how saturating headlines and repeatedly pushing a single story can dominate public attention. This is just one approach to investigate whether something might be part of a PSYOP. There are many other deeper techniques and methods to get to the bottom of an event, of course, but if you find more clues or additional evidence about this real case scenario, feel free to leave a comment below and share your insights with the rest of us. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumb up and subscribe for more OSINT insights. For additional tools and resources, you can check out my OSINT framework at cyberin.uk, link in the description below. You can also find more detailed investigation on sites like Bellingcat, which is one of my favorites, which are famous for uncovering and verifying stories using OSINT techniques. Remember, stay curious, stay critical, and never let a flood of identical headlines override your judgment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.